morning, madam.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you here today.
I'm glad to be here today too.
Wow. Please greet our people out there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here speaking about sensitive issues and being the voice for the voiceless, and also seeing positive reporting happening. And as a person who has personally mentored journalists in sensitive reporting, or what we call positive reporting, or what we call responsive reporting. It has very many names. I would really want to see a great impact of this information going out and doing what it's supposed to do, impacting lives positively. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so now can we briefly start by introducing what UGANET does and its focus areas?
Yeah, first of all, UGANET is Uganda Network on No Ethics and HIV and AIDS. And at UGANET, it started 28 years ago. Actually, I think we are close to 29 what I'm in this process right now. You can see that we have really existed for a very long time. And a group of lawyers came together to form this organization at a time when HIV was at the peak. And at that time, very many people were being discriminated, stigmatized, and robbed of their properties. So they added in a component of social justice. We had whereby they were promoting social justice for people living with HIV. Till today, we promote social justice for people living with HIV. But along the way, we added in other disease components like TB, malaria, and now we are even looking at sexual reproductive health for adults and girls and young women. So we are really diverse. At UGANET, we also provide legal aid for people, both women and men, though we also have a shelter home where we rescue survivors of GBV and mostly women. Unfortunately, the shelter takes in women, and yeah, they are taken in for a temporary period of time, about 3 months, while we also hold the perpetrators under the law, seek justice for the person who is a victim or a survivor of GBV. So we do a lot of things at UGANET. Among us, the components that we have is advocacy. That is why you will see that I'm an advocacy officer. We come out to speak issues. We participate in law reforms, the criminalizing laws. We also have criminalizing laws on the side of people living with HIV. When you look at the HIV Prevention and Control Act, it has some clauses that stigmatize. We have been challenging them for a while. So even the Penal Code Act, we also have components, HIV as an aggravating factor. We are people that come in court and say, why do you want to specifically hold a person living with HIV and aggravated because of their HIV status? Why don't you charge the person according to the case? Why do you have to look at the HIV status as a component for arresting this person, or, you know? So that is what we really do at UGANET. Yeah, we have really handled a lot of cases around stigma and discrimination. Recently, we also had a case of a lady who was stigmatized at the workplace and dismissed from work. Mandatory testing, first of all, without her permission. Results come out, and yes, she knew she was positive. And yeah, it happens that she's dismissed from work, but thankfully we handled that case and it was resolved with the company that had dismissed her. So we do a lot of work around there. Okay. Yeah.
Well, very interesting. And now, right now we're looking at media. What before we even go to the role, what energy, what can I ask, like what instance, what do you think media has, what capability does media have in combating HIV/AIDS, before we get to its role and all those things?
First of all, media is a very powerful weapon. I've personally used media and I'm a social media influencer.
Oh wow.
I have done a lot of advocacy through media. Media can spoil or can promote positively.
True.
So media is today, in this current generation, in this Gen Z kind of age, you know, media moves faster than anything. So why do we pick interest in working with media? Not just UGANET, all the organizations, even the government of Uganda, I believe they have seen a very unique concept with media. They have seen a hidden, unique impact that media brings to the community. And therefore we have embraced media on board, right? So media, we call them key stakeholders. When we are looking at the stakeholders in this country, media is one of the key stakeholders. And that is why you see at every event, we have media. As even if one representative, but we will at least have a representation of media. So in the course of a number of things that we do in UGANET, we discovered, for example, we had a case on Sempa. You've seen Sempa, yes. Our pastor, and he went out to stigmatize one of our colleagues. It's a past thing that happened, but that case was very loud out there because of media. And whatever happened, the whole issue was resolved also supported by media. So you can see the power of media in this. So being key stakeholders, we feel that they need to be mentored right, because we have interacted with a number of media people and they say in school, you're just studying. You do not know what you're going to specialize in. At the end of the day, we look at health reporters being separate from the other journalists. So at UGANET, we usually notice maybe mostly media that is into health reporting. But we also don't discourage the other people that do a number of other work in media, because we believe when it comes to issues of health, they affect all of us equally. If you can throw it in out there in your work, no matter what work you're doing in media, you can throw it in a concept on health, because at the end of the day, we are all affected by the health matters. So media is very key, and so we have advocated through donor support, and we have mentored some groups or cohorts of media, and we believe that we want to see a change where there has been insensitive reporting. We want to see that change, positive reporting, especially when it comes to HIV. Even the right terms used when it comes to any health concept. We encourage media to do research. Don't just come out and talk about things you don't have an idea about. Do research. Have those mentors you look up to. Like, we are also here as UGANET. We are a resource. Do you want any information? We are ready to give it to you as long as it's in our docket. Where it's not in our docket, we will refer. So we really encourage media to get the right sources of information.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And talking about reporting, so many people could come out like, right now it is a matter of impression. It's no longer good reporting. What steps have you taken in ensuring good reporting, majorly against stigma and all those things, because it is what that hits most?
Yeah, what we ensure, first of all, as I've already informed you, that we train media. We bring them in the rooms and give them the right information they need to know.
Okay.
And I believe with the very many cohorts we have trained, we may not have reached everyone, but I know we have trained a big number of them, to an extent that we are actually supporting the same media personalities we have trained to also mentor their fellows. Okay. Because for us, donor funding will come to an end regarding that activity. So what will happen? We believe we are mentoring mentors of the others. You get it? So it's training of trainers, basically. Wow. So we give the right information, and then we give room for questions. As UGANET, we even have a group where we encourage the people that we are trying to share their concepts. We look at them, we advise where you've gone wrong. We say, at that time wasn't right. So we are trying to keep a close relationship with the media personalities we have trained. And we believe that while they're doing the good work, even others will see from what they're doing, from the improvement. And also, they for example, on the group, we have there was a time when one of the team members posted something that wasn't suiting, and the colleague got concerned. Now you see, you also start to understand your gaps as media personalities. You call out your fellows where they have gone wrong, and then and the good thing that the person took it at goodwill. By that time, we had not yet trained that person, we had not yet engaged that person, and we had this person brought in for the next cohort, got the knowledge, and I believe, because change is it's a process. When it comes to attitude change, behavior change, these are processes that people embrace with time. But me, I'll call you in the room, follow up with you, and the rest, of course, we believe for the best. But we keep a close relationship with the people we have trained.
Okay.
Yeah.
What gaps do you think have been there in media coverage regarding HIV/AIDS?
Of course, language. When you look, especially when it comes to translation to local language. Omurade wa sirimu, no. Eyo twavaayo kawuka kamukeni, HIV. So those are the kind of words. When you call me omurade wa sirimu, it's like there's a person who is laying down there in the hospital close to their death. Eyo twavaayo. So we need people. So most times media has not differentiated HIV and AIDS. It's still a gap. Most people really, it actually doesn't, you realize that it's not intentional sometimes, but the person just doesn't know exactly the difference. So we encourage, that's why I go back to the other thing, research and what? Educating ourselves, knowing what exactly we need to talk about. So the stigmatizing language, the terms, the wrong terms used that make people living with HIV feel more vulnerable, and it makes them feel down. They feel like, honestly, we have had this issue for so many years. Like, this person should be understanding the differences by now. You get it? And when you reach to people who are still struggling with self-stigma, you even stigmatize them the more. Because they may not be as confident as I am. For me, I may understand, it's a gap, and I'll take it easy. But someone down there who is still trying to collect themselves together to live with HIV in peace, it will hunt them down. So, it's very important to know the right terms to use when reporting.
Now, I like the fact that you mentioned Eyo Tuavayo. Now, if we are to weigh over the years, how has the portrayal of media been like? If we are to make a comparison, how is it faring? Are we headed to a better place, or it is still a big space lacking?
I think we are heading to a better place. I think, because really, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, and I know besides UGANET, very many other organizations have involved media. The Uganda AIDS Commission, all these other entities, But remember, while this cohort is going out that is informed, we have a new cohort of journalists, of media personalities that do not know. Now we go back to zero. You get it? So when we feel we are achieving, the things are improving, now we again water down the energy. So that is where I also urge that even the cohorts that have attained this knowledge to keep supporting their teams, because for us we may not reach everywhere. The editors that probably support also in they should take notice of such things. So we need that also media supports fellow media personalities. We shouldn't say, me, I've already attained the knowledge, I am out there, I'm in a better position, I am living my life now. Maybe I've even changed work. No. We still we need that support that keeps going on and on.
Now, when it comes to media, are we looking at these other sectors or people like bloggers, like influencers, all those other people? Because they also carry a lot of power when it comes to communication out there, majorly on these social media platforms.
Yes, media, we look beyond journalists. And I've also realized bloggers have a lot of power.
A lot of it, sure.
A lot of power. I see that TikTok, or the way it runs, it's definitely bloggers. Unfortunately, we have not interfaced with very many bloggers. It's even hard to get some of them. Others feel they are too expensive to get.
To hike their prices.
Yes, and others have those anonymous pages. You don't even know who exactly owns the page. So it's really very hard to get that person. I do not know. This is still a gap, even for us as an entity. How do we tackle these people and bring them on board to understand the right language they're supposed to use. There is a lot of abusive language. One of my colleagues posted on her, Gloria, she's one of the persons living with HIV openly. She calls herself the HIV queen, something of a sort. Okay. And one of the ladies from, I don't know from where, goes on her page on TikTok and abuses her things about the mother a lot. Then you wonder, some people have their personal attachments. Calls her a killer, a murderer, like all those kind of words. What gives them that power? It's something we do not understand. But we see that some people enjoy just to bring someone down.
Because,
so it is a lot of work for us to tackle the bloggers. Beyond the journalists, yes, it's easy to get a journalist and talk to them because you know them by name, you know them by their workplace and all that stuff. But now a blogger who has probably a different name on social media, and probably they don't even show their real faces. You never know. Some people just keep hunting down others and they don't show who they really are. So it's something we need collective efforts on to bring these people on board, because they're really doing more harm out there. For those ones, I can testify we still have a very big gap, because some of the social media platforms have just gained the power. So there is a lot of energy, and there is no regulatory, systems there. Everyone is doing whatever they want.
Whatever they feel like,
and one of these things, it's why I am concerned about the UCC. How do we put regulatory policies, even on such platforms? How do they go around? Because it's going out of hand, and we need to bring back ourselves.
Oh, yes. Now let's talk about stigmatization. What role does the media, what role do we have to ensure that there is no stigmatization of persons with HIV or stroke AIDS as well? Now, because I'm looking at, is there even a policy that protects maybe stigmatization against someone?
Yeah, there is.
There is.
The HIV Control and Prevention Act has. It has that component. It typically against stigma and discrimination. So it has some kind of clauses that we are still fighting around with. But lately they have amended it, and it's more fair from the previous one.
Okay.
Definitely, even under the Equal Opportunities Act, for example, under employment, under the Equal Opportunities Act, that's where we charge you when it's something coordinated to employment. When you stigmatize someone at the employment level, we will seek justice, and you will definitely either be arrested or you will have to compensate that person. Like that case I already talked about for the workplace. And then when we come to normal life, you stigmatize me and it's clear evidence is there and everything, I can charge you under the law. Under that act I've already talked about. Yes. So the laws are there that protect people with living with HIV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about our role as the media in reducing or fighting discrimination or stigmatization.
First of all, I will go back to when you look at journalists, they themselves told me they have ethics that they are taught.
Okay.
When you go back to the ethics you're taught, it's just a twist. You bring them back to the stories they cover in HIV related. The empathy, the balancing, all these ethics. I may not break them down all through, but it's just a twist. Back to the HIV. You just use those very ethics to have the best stories. And we will even see people coming out willingly to share their stories, because I have interacted with journalists that sometimes they say people are not willing to share their stories. Why? Because people have experienced or have even seen others being stigmatized. We say something else, they present something else, especially when it comes to newspapers. I'll tell that one, I don't even have what to say. You narrate your things, someone writes something very different.
Very different.
Do you think next day I'll be willing to give that story?
Not at all.
that is done. So I think we need to go back to the ethics of journalism, and I think we need to put aside stereotypes and bias. There is a lot of biased reporting and stereotyping. So those are some of the things that prevent us from giving good stories out there. I know some people have certain personal values, but when you're out here to capture some stories, you have to put aside some of those so-called personal values, because at this point you're doing what you're supposed to do. A justice for someone. Probably it depends on why you're putting out this story. Are you putting it out for awareness to other teams? Are you putting it out because someone needs justice? They need support. Maybe they've been stigmatized. They're, crying out for their selves. They need support somewhere. So you need to first look at why are you putting out this story anyway? Yes. What kind of impact do you will have? Secondly, do these people ever follow up on the people they have covered stories for? That's also another issue. Feedback. Following up. Getting the right feedback. If you've not done well and the person, you get it, they are pouring out themselves maybe on a concern that they didn't feel that their story was properly covered. How do you take it? Do you take it in good faith? Or you're going to get it personal? So feedback is also key in our reporting. Going back there and looking out for those people that you've covered stories. And if you've done anything, because we are humans, anything can go wrong, be able to adjust for the next story. So basically, that's what I'll bring on board when it comes to...
Wow. Very important. Indeed, it cuts weirdly across when it comes to reporting people. Some journalists have chosen to report for impression. What do I gain? How many
personal
followers
interest.
do I get? All those things. I think it is what that is hitting most, and we appreciate for the trainings you really take through some of our mates out there. It is quite important. Now, let's look at... You did talk about you advocating to change some regulations, some rules, and all those things. How can the media be of support in that regard?
Unfortunately, and also fortunately, when the laws are still under reform, you don't just bring in media.
Okay.
There are stages where we involve media.
Oh, okay.
For example, we have been handling petition 24 as UGANET. It was still tackling around those cases where we were looking at those harmful clauses, mandatory testing. The health worker has the audacity to, disclose your status to your partner. So we were challenging that law in that regard, the HIV Prevention and Control Act. Those three clauses, we were challenging them because they were criminalizing what? People living with HIV.
Okay.
And why would someone probably disclose my status without my consent? We were challenging those clauses. It's still an issue there. So at the stage it is, we cannot just give it to media. We have to run a certain mile for us to bring in media. So with laws, it's something that's sensitive. We bring in media at a certain level. Okay.
Now let's look at how media can educate the people out there. What initiatives are you up for to make sure you're including in media when voicing out concerns to the public, the general public? Now let us leave it at having the journalists being trained, but now the journalists taking it to the public out there. Because stigmatization cuts across. It's not only those who are doing reporting, but also the people down there. They do stigmatize people living with HIV.
When you look at stigma and reporting, and even the people down there, because of course sometimes we bring in media to capture stories of people who have been stigmatized by other people down here. Media, at what stage does it come in, right? That's the question you asked.
Yes, yes.
It comes in when probably, for example, now me, I'm an advocate who has been there before. I might want someone to cover my story. Of course, now me, I already have that person. I already have the space and which kind of media to talk to about it. Yes. So it can also be an individual willing to share their story, and they reach out to the media themselves, or they reach out to the channels of people that have the connections of media coming into their story. Or it can also go back to media identifying this person and reaching out. Because some, like, for example, Family TV has reached out to me. So it's two-way. I can call in media as an individual, or media can identify me, reach out to me, and ask me if I'm willing to share my story. And then definitely I will share the story. So it's two-way.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So are there any challenges, maybe as we try to wind up, are there any challenges that are encountering this interaction between the media people, the media personnel, in their roles with the UGANET, maybe and other organizations in that regard? Challenges faced.
Faced by media?
Yes, by the
or
media.
By us with media?
No, by the media.
Yeah, of course, media, with our interactions with media, is one of the challenges they face. Definitely, most people are not willing to come in to share their stories, for their stories to be covered. Secondly, an issue of transportation. If they identify this individual, and maybe the individual is down there in the village, probably there are these poor people, they cannot support transport for media. Media has to put in the transport to go meet the person at that level. So it becomes hard for the team to move if they are not supported financially. Secondly, some people want to do investigative journalism, where they want to do it at individual level, to really go a mile to investigate stories deep in the villages, beyond Kampala. Because most of the stories are back down there in the villages. And these people are really poor, most of them. They may not afford to come to, share their stories. So you find that media would have a plea of small grants, agencies that can support small grants for them to do investigative journalism. So those are some of the issues that are faced with the media personalities that they have shared with us as UGANET in our several engagements with them. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, time is not on our side, but I will kindly request you to give us your last remarks in this regard. Any last words you want the public to get?
Yeah, first of all, to the different agencies that support media, we really call upon other various organizations to avail these small grants for investigative journalism if we want to continue to impact and have stories covered. For us as a team, we may not be doing it alone. We need more people to come up and avail these small grants for media personalities. Secondly, it's my plea to media and bloggers and whoever to observe sensitive reporting. Sensitive reporting is very important because it will bring down cyberbullying, it will bring down all this, people are even committing suicide because of such kind of things. People have hated themselves because of insensitive reporting. So we really need to see better reporting out there that is gender responsive and sensitive, and let's educate ourselves. Let's do research, let's educate ourselves, let's know what information to put out there. Yeah.
Wow. It's been a pleasure having you here, and we really appreciate your input, Laura, majorly about the impact of media, or the role of media in combating HIV/AIDS here in our country, Uganda. Yes, you've heard it. you all have a role to play, majorly the media personnel out there, but also if you have your platform, yes, they have not yet reached out to you as bloggers or influencers, but you also have a big role to play in reducing or ending stigmatization and discrimination, but also making sure that you create awareness about HIV, stroke AIDS in all the aspects. If it is anything good, please spread it out there. Of course, you have the power by using your tool or your platform. Please stay blessed. My name is Luke Majumba Alnaitwe. We've been powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.